Hey, let's take a minute and meet Clark Kent, star of Superman.
Chief, believe me, you're in for a treat just as soon as Jimmy gets back here.
Great Caesar's ghost. What's holding him up? You know I can't work without a good breakfast.
Yes, and welcome back to Oldies News Network, the only news network that's giving you yesterday's news. So, which side am I on? I'm on this side. Okay. Yes, we have quite a bit happening in the country right now. If you'll take a look at our eastern seaboard, a bit of a depression happening, especially New York, Chicago. I'm not going to lie, it's kind of bad. If we look over in the middle of the country, again, lots of depression. It's actually pretty big here, a bit bigger than most places. We'll get into that in a bit. I have a video about it. It's great. If we look over here, lots of depression happening. Lots of depression. I don't actually know about Alaska or Hawaii. No, I really don't know anything about those two. They're kind of out of my jurisdiction, if you understand what I'm saying. They're just there, as far as I know.
Walter, could you maybe focus a little bit less on the atmosphere in America and more on the atmospheric pressure in America?
Okay, yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, okay, don't worry, Bert. Got it covered. Yeah, so let's just, there we go, clean this off. We got a clean slate. So what we're dealing with here in the southern half of the country, around Hawaii, in Latin America, is the Great Dominican Republican Hurricane. That's the technical term. I don't know why we're calling it that. That's not very interesting. I would have named it something more like Ralph or, I don't know, Sandy. I think that's a good name for a storm. They should use that someday. Anywho, yeah, so we have a storm that's coming in from the Atlantic and swooping in here to Florida. It already killed 8,000 people in not the Great Dominican Republic, just the Dominican Republic, which is very bad, but don't worry, Floridians, it's probably not going to kill any of you because it's going to die out by the time it hits Florida. So, that's good. Although there's a bigger story, a not better story because it's actually bad, but we're going to explain that in a bit. In the Midwest, yes, we have what experts are calling a dust bowl, which doesn't make sense. It's not actually made of dust, and there's no bowl involved. It's more like a dust storm, and it's not dust, it's dirt, so it's more like a dirt storm, I would say. I think that's a really accurate way of saying it. Dirt storm. Yes, okay, getting it back on topic. Okay. Yeah, so experts are calling this a dust bowl, in the area located around the panhandle of Oklahoma, we have a lot of people that are migrating out of the area because of these really wacky storms that are forming. And we have a video for that, if you guys would get it started. I made it myself, high tech. Any minute now, guys, you could just start any second.
Hello there, if you're watching this, then you're probably interested in what experts are now calling the Dust Bowl. Very simply, what happened was, before the pioneers actually made it to the Midwest, there was a lot of grass. And this grass was special in the sense that it actually had deep roots that stuck into the ground and kept the soil in place. And that's good. But when the settlers came, they kind of got rid of all the roots and the plants, tilled them up, and then instead planted food. Because, you know, they're farmers. They gotta make a living somehow. So we got a little corn there. Yep, there we go. Nice corn. This one needs more. That one. Yeah, they're having a good harvest. Anywho, so they had their corn, then after the corn grew, they would chop it down, and you'd be left with these dead, short roots that didn't keep the soil in place very much. So, what's keeping the soil there? The answer was, at first, it was the rain. Settlers would rely on rain to keep the dirt in place by moisturizing the soil, and, you know, if it's moist, then it's probably not going to get picked up by a breeze or anything like that. It's probably going to stay in place. But the question is, what happens when there's a drought? Well, the answer was, we have what is now the Dust Bowl. In short, a gust of wind would come around, and the dirt particles on the ground, dust would get thrown up with it, and we would have all this get carried away in a dust bowl. The soil would be taken away, so now there's nothing to plant the crops anymore, and on top of that, these massive storms would blot out the sky and make it pretty hard to survive or breathe. Kinda bad.
Yeah, so Bert, I'm kind of like out of material here. I don't got anything left. I think it's maybe back to you. Yes, Walter, just show yourself out. Yes, thank you. Okay. Anywho, we actually have an interview with first-hand survivor of this Dust Bowl, as we were talking about, Mr. Bob Harrison, who is at the other end of our line. We're going to be interviewing him. How are you doing, Mr. Harrison? What is that supposed to mean? Of course we're not good. Of course everything is going wrong. Everything is dead. All my crops are dead because we have no more food and no more topsoil. All the cows are dead because they got sand and dirt stuck in their lungs. And if they're not dead, then they're not making any more milk. My kids are sick and they have no food. I don't have any money to buy food. There's nothing. Yes, so pretty bad. Let me just write this down for a second. There we go. Do you think there's anything we can do about this situation? What are we doing? What are we supposed to do? Nothing. I'm getting out of here with my wife and kids. We're done with this place. Yes, so I see you're going on a vacation then. Any specific spot you plan on going towards? California. It's the only place I can go, because they don't have dust storms and at least they have some amount of jobs. Ah, crikey, not another one. I'm out of here. Mr. Harrison. Mr. Harrison? Bob Harrison. Okay, so it appears that we have lost contact with Mr. Harrison. Probably not a big deal. I'm sure he's fine. Just cross it out. Can't do that anymore. Lucky for you, though, we still have more commercials for you to view. So, we'll be coming back in a second. But until then, this is Oldies News Network, the only news network that's giving you yesterday's news.